Good day everyone, welcome to another episode of Azure Databricks Series. In today's video, we are going to talk about something that may not be immediately obvious when using Azure Databricks. Why? The URL of your Databricks workspace doesn't have the Microsoft in it. Instead, you will see a Databricks specific domain. We will also dive deep into the control plane and the data pane, explaining what each of them does and why they are crucial to the architecture of Databricks. So let's start with something simple. When you navigate to your Databricks workspace from the Azure Portal, you will notice that the URL takes you to something like AzureDatabricks.net instead of Microsoft. Yeah, this is different from what you might expect from a Microsoft service. Why is that? That's because Databricks as a platform is natively built by Databricks. Even though it's integrated with Azure, what you are accessing here is a service managed by Databricks itself, not directly by Microsoft. Though Azure handles other aspects like billing and resource management. This leads us to an important concept in Databricks, the control plane and then the data plane. These two planes form the backbone of how Databricks operates, both in terms of management and actual data processing. First, let's talk about the control plane. The control plane is the brain of Databricks. It manages the metadata, orchestration, and other aspects that help you interact with Databricks. Here is what it covers. Authentication and authorization. Yeah. When you log in or manage permissions, the control plane handles that. Job scheduling. Any notebooks or workflows you schedule get handled here. Cluster management. It manages the life cycle of the clusters, including creating and terminating them. User interface. Everything you see in the Databricks workspace UI is part of the control plane. So the UI that you are seeing, it is all part of our control plane. Yeah. All the notebooks, repos, DB/SQL, everything will be present in the control plane. The key thing to remember is that the control plane doesn't process any of your actual data. That's the most important thing. Yeah. So the control plane doesn't process any of the actual data. It simply orchestrates the environment that allows you to do that. Now let's talk about the data plane. Yeah, the data plane is where the actual data processing happens. This is where your data lives, and all computation like queries, transformations, machine learning models are executed. Here are its main components. Yeah. The first one is your data storage. Your data stays in services like Azure Data Lake or blob storage, not within Databricks itself. So now if you go to the workspace and then you go to your manage resource group here. Yeah. So if you can see here, it is on the Azure. Yeah. So it is not in anywhere else. Yeah. So it's in your subscription. Yeah. And if you see here, we have the virtual machines created. For example, if you see for this particular cluster, the name of the cluster is Vivek Janagiraman's cluster. And now if you see here, for example, this virtual machine is part of this Vivek Janagiraman's cluster, and all these things gets created in your Azure subscription. Yeah. Now let's talk about the data plane's cluster execution. Yeah, when you run a Spark job or query, the clusters do their work in the data plane. Yeah, data access and security. While a control plane manages the permission, the data plane is the one that enforces them when it comes to the actual data operations. Yeah, this plane is fully isolated from the control plane when it comes to data access, and that's the reason we have this two subnets in place. One is public and one is private. Yeah, your data is secure in the data plane, and only you or your team have control over its processing. Now let's discuss why this separation is important. That is why you need to have this control plane and then the data plane separately. One more reason is security. Yeah, by separating the control plane and data plane, Databricks ensures that your sensitive data never crosses into the control plane. This means your data stays secure and can be processed in environments that the user or you control, like Azure or your own on-premise data storage. Additionally, this separation helps with scalability. The control plane can manage many clusters and jobs without being burdened by data processing, and the data plane can scale independently to process larger data sets. To summarize, the Databricks workspace URL points to Databricks because the platform operates on a service maintained by Databricks. Meanwhile, the control plane handles all the orchestration, cluster management, and user interaction, while the data plane is where your data lives and is processed. The separation of these two planes ensures both security and scalability. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more Azure Databricks content. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment below. See you in the next episode of Azure Databricks series. Jai Hind.